In ancient Japan, warriors believed that discipline was a kind of death. Not the death of the body, but the quiet execution of the self that begs for comfort. There is a version of you that wakes early, moves without hesitation, and obeys no excuse. And that version would terrify the one listening right now. Chapter 1. The Awakening. He wakes up already tired, not because his body is weak, but because his mind negotiated defeat before the day began. The alarm rings. He knows what he should do: train, study, build, advance. But instead, he bargains. 5 more minutes. I'll start tomorrow. Today doesn't really matter. By nightfall, he feels the familiar weight, guilt mixed with justification. He scrolls past men who seem sharper, calmer, more disciplined, and he tells himself a story that they are different, smarter, more motivated, more gifted. But the ancient philosophers would hear this and shake their heads. A Zen monk would say, "You are not weak, you are divided." A Stoic emperor would write, "You suffer not from lack of ability, but from lack of command." And the Silent Ronin, the wandering swordsman who serves no master but principle, would see something else entirely. He would see a man who has not yet decided who he is. Chapter 2. The Ancient System. In Bushido, the way of the warrior, discipline was not a tactic, it was identity. A samurai did not try to be disciplined, he was disciplined or he was nothing. Miyamoto Musashi, undefeated in over 60 duels, lived without possessions, comfort, or routine luxury. Not because suffering was noble, but because attachment made the sword hand shake. Zen taught emptiness. Stoicism taught command of the inner citadel. Bushido fused them into something brutal and clean. The self must be governed or it will rebel. Modern psychology confirms this truth in softer language. Willpower is finite. Decision fatigue is real. The brain seeks efficiency, not excellence. But ancient Japan never asked, "What do I feel like today?" It asked only, "What does the path demand?" This is the principle that breaks the modern worldview. You do not rise to discipline, you descend into it by killing the version of you that refuses to obey. Chapter 3. The Internal War. The moment you decide to change, resistance awakens. Your body tightens, your mind invents logic, your emotions rebel. This is not failure, this is the war. The Stoics called it the battle between reason and impulse. Zen called it the screaming of the ego as it dissolves. Bushido called it the moment before the blade leaves the sheath. Neuroscience tells us the brain resists change because identity is encoded in habit. To act differently feels like danger, even when it is salvation. So your mind lies. This is too extreme. Balance is better. You'll burn out. But the Silent Ronin knows this voice well. He does not argue with it. He steps forward anyway. Because discipline is not built by comfort, it is forged in moments where quitting feels rational. Chapter 4. The One Path. The path is simple, and that is why it is unbearable. Remove choice. A samurai did not debate whether to train. A monk did not negotiate with desire. A Stoic did not wait for motivation. They pre-decided. The modern mind resists this because it worships freedom, but ancient wisdom understood something sharper. Too much freedom weakens the will. Structure is not a prison, it is armor. You wake at the same hour. You train whether inspired or not. You do the work before pleasure, always. Not because it feels good, but because it clarifies who is in control. Motivation is unreliable. Identity is not. When you act as a disciplined person long enough, the mind follows. Chapter 5. Practice without gaps. Water that flows without interruption carves stone. Fire that flickers dies. Bushido demanded no gaps. Miss one day and the mind learns disobedience. Miss twice and the old self regains ground. Modern habit science agrees. Consistency matters more than intensity. The brain wires what is repeated, not what is planned. Zen monks swept the same floors every day. Samurai practiced basic strikes thousands of times, not because mastery was exciting, but because it was inevitable. Discipline is not heroic. It is quiet, boring, relentless, and that is why it works. Chapter 6. Pre-Solutions. Ancient warriors did not trust willpower, they trusted preparation. Before battle, they visualized defeat and accepted it. Before temptation, monks took vows. Before weakness, Stoics rehearsed hardship. This is called pre-commitment. You decide in advance who you are, so the moment does not decide for you. You plan for exhaustion, you plan for travel, you plan for loneliness, hunger, doubt. The Silent Ronin does not wait to feel strong. He removes the option to be weak. Lay out your clothes, block the distractions, set non-negotiable rules. Not as punishment, but as mercy for the version of you who will one day be tired. Chapter 7. The Transformation. One morning, something shifts. You wake and there is no argument. The body moves, the mind follows. Not because life is easier, but because you are no longer divided. The inconsistent self fades, the disciplined self hardens. You no longer chase motivation, you no longer negotiate with comfort. You act because this is who you are. The ancient warriors called this integrity. Zen called it oneness. Stoics called it virtue. And the Silent Ronin walks on, alone, calm, unstoppable, not because he is special, but because he chose the path and never stepped off it.